I discovered that I am an uncle to my own children. My wife found herself in a predicament, and I devised an elaborate scheme that I in the heart of California's Central Valley. My upbringing was a tapestry woven with trials and modest triumphs. In the early chapters of my life, I found myself nestled in a modest trailer close to Fresno, sharing the space with my mother and two younger siblings. Our humble abode sat perilously near the Southern Pacific Railroad tracks, where the relentless clatter of trains served as a constant reminder of our challenging situation. Despite these hardships, my mother, a dedicated cashier at Bi-Mart's supermarket, kept us together after my father, Jack Scott, left us for another woman. My early years were fraught with challenges, yet they imparted invaluable lessons in resilience and determination. My sister Emily and I successfully navigated our way through high school, emerging unscathed and ready to embark on our college journey. I secured a modest scholarship to embark on my journey toward a marketing degree, while Emily's remarkable academic achievements paved her way to a flourishing career in law. Our younger brother James grappled with discovering his direction, frequently leading to friction within the family. In spite of our varied paths, each of us pursued our unique interpretation of achievement. Amidst the chaos of our family, my sister and I navigated challenges and achieved our educational goals. Through a modest scholarship, I attained my BA. In the realm of marketing, my sister managed to secure a significant scholarship, ultimately paving her way to becoming a lawyer. James, on the other hand, seemed to excel at causing trouble, earning what I joked was an associate's degree in foolishness. At precisely 5:30 p.m., Mom would wrap up her shift as a cashier at Bi-Mart and return home to prepare dinner. The earth trembled at the stroke of 6 in the evening. The freight train beckoned us to cease our play, urging us to retreat indoors and prepare the table. After my father departed, we relocated there, leaving just my mother to nurture us. Aside from the scant child support, our father vanished from our lives, leaving no trace behind. Amidst the chaos, my sister and I managed to navigate our way through, ultimately graduating from both high school and college. With the help of a modest scholarship, I proudly earned my BA within the realm of marketing. My sister secured a more prestigious scholarship and ultimately pursued a career in law. My little brother James, however, seemed to focus on being a nuisance. Although my sister shared a bond with James, he and I never developed a closeness. He always appeared envious of my achievements, even though he possessed striking good looks with his blonde hair and blue eyes. His roles, grocery stock boy during his high school years and later, a participant in residential construction, were commendable, yet he seemed to lack the ambition to ascend the corporate hierarchy. He performed adequately, yet he never attained my income levels. The essence of timing was paramount. In 1985, I landed a job as a marketing associate at a California startup that grew into an online giant. After 16 years, I finally hit the jackpot when it was taken over by a global media powerhouse. At that point, I had ascended to the role of vice president of marketing, departing with a package of executive-level stock options and severance pay. It provided the means to purchase a home for my mother, explore the globe, cruise in a Porsche, and reside in a grand mansion complete with a pool in Palo Alto. Yet, it also drew in a demanding trophy wife. Life was pleasant until my fortune turned into an extravagant burden. Rachel, my trophy wife, orchestrated her timing flawlessly, tying the knot with me mere weeks before my severance payout arrived. Half of my newfound wealth was bestowed upon her, along with the house and my cherished Porsche, all in return for the absence of alimony. Had it not been for my lawyer insisting on a DNA test, I would have been paying 18 years of child support for Paul Jr. The test astonishingly unveiled that my son was, in fact, my nephew. Rachel's lover and the father of the child was none other than my younger brother, James, a man already bound in marriage with 2 children of his own. Even amidst the sorrow, the 3 months I shared with Paul Jr. were the most joyful of my existence, and the pain of losing him eclipsed that of losing Rachel. It awakened a profound appreciation for my role as a father, while also stirring deep emotions regarding my own father's absence. I found myself grappling with the question of why my father chose to leave us, especially when the joys of fatherhood seemed so profound. I even set a goal to desecrate his resting place. At the very least, James emerged from the ordeal with some marks to show for it. Rachel transcended the role of a mere homebody. She embodied the essence of a homewrecker. Upon the arrival of Paul Jr.'s DNA results, Priya, James's wife, gathered their daughters and embarked on a flight back to India. With the assistance of my lawyer, I successfully evaded child support obligations, and the court amended the birth certificate to reflect James's name in place of mine. Paul Jr. had now become simply Little Paul. The year had unfolded in a most dreadful manner that I in the gentle embrace of April. Little Paul made his entrance into the world. In June, I unearthed the affair, engaged the services of a private investigator, and in July, I took the decisive step of filing for divorce. It was bestowed in August, culminating in March. Overwhelmed by despair and plagued by uncertainty, I departed from my fragmented existence in California, seeking refuge in New Mexico, a land known for its affordability. I wasn't destitute, yet I sought to make my finances go further. I allowed myself one splurge, a restored 1974 Volkswagen Transporter van, reminiscent of my high school and college days. Though it appeared weathered, its mechanical integrity was undeniable, making it an ideal choice to deter theft. In a span of 2 days, I traversed 950 miles across the vast landscapes of Arizona, ultimately reaching Gallup, New Mexico. My rest came at a truck stop in Kingman, Arizona, where I paused to recharge for the journey ahead. Gallup, boasting a population of approximately 21,000 and an average income of $35,000, presented an ideal setting. I began my journey in a modest motel, only to discover a single wide trailer nestled within the confines of Western Sky's mobile home park. The exterior was dreary, yet the interior held a certain charm, remaining in respectable condition. I purchased it for the sum of $5,273. As I was unpacking, my gaze fell upon my neighbor, a petite figure with flowing dark hair tied back in a ponytail. In a spirit of warmth and camaraderie, I procured a delightful bouquet and some freshly baked cookies from La Montanita Market. With these in hand, I rapped gently on her screen door. A young lad, his hair as dark as midnight and his skin a warm shade of copper, responded. I made my introduction. Greetings. I am Paul, your new neighbor, and I wanted to take a moment to introduce myself. The boy gazed at me in silence. The woman I had observed earlier drew near, her expression tinged with suspicion. How may I assist you today? She inquired. She stood shorter than I had imagined, around 4 feet 11 inches, clad in a modest blue dress and rubber sandals. Her appearance and accent led me to believe she was Filipina. A half-smile graced her lips, the left side of her face drooping slightly, perhaps a remnant of nerve damage. Her budget glasses, secured with duct tape, framed a face where her left eyelid drooped slightly. Yet, in spite of these imperfections, she possessed a certain beauty. With a flicker of hope, I took the plunge and introduced myself once more. Greetings. I just had a chat with your friend and wanted to introduce myself as your new neighbor, Paul. As I gazed into her lovely brown eyes, I was reminded of the thoughtful gifts I brought along. Here, please accept these flowers and cookies as a warm welcome. She accepted them, and her wary expression slowly transformed into a warm smile. Thank you, that's incredibly kind of you. I'm Maria Santos, though my friends like to call me Dawn. She gave a slight nod toward her son. That's Liam, she said. He's 4. Don't mind his gaze. He tends to do that with men ever since his father left. She welcomed me inside and prepared coffee as Liam savored the cookies. She shared that her ex-husband was incarcerated for domestic abuse, which had led to her experiencing symptoms akin to palsy. At 32, with merely a high school diploma, she held a position as a pharmacy cashier and depended on food stamps. I recounted the painful chapter of my recent divorce, where betrayal cut deeper than the loss of my wife, as she attempted to claim another man's child as my own. After 2 hours of heartfelt conversation, a bond formed, and when she embraced me to say farewell, the scent of her shampoo and the warmth of her petite frame stirred a longing within me for something beyond mere friendship, though I knew it was too early for such desires. The following day, I acquired a new mattress, plush pillows, crisp sheets, essential kitchen utensils, and a sleek 32-inch flat-screen TV. After that, my attention turned to the pursuit of employment. What was once a substantial sum of money had dwindled to a more modest amount, primarily nestled in savings.my credit rating lingered in the 800s, a comforting assurance, yet I understood that such stability was not destined to endure. I wasn't in pursuit of an executive role. Rather, I sought merely to secure the essentials for my household. Through a temp agency, I found myself employed on the loading dock of a shipping logistics company as the weeks unfolded. I found myself embracing a familiar rhythm. Breakfast, work, lunch, work, dinner, TV, and sleep. Saturdays became a ritual of grocery shopping, where I would extend an invitation to Dawn and Liam, my trusty companions, for the journey in my van at IT wasn't precisely a date. Yet I found joy in the moments we shared. Liam was my companion. If Dawn ever denied him something, I would discreetly procure whatever he desired and later share it with him. Sundays unfolded as laundry days once Dawn and Liam returned from church. Together, we would stroll to the Western Skies laundry room. Dawn's laundry, inevitably more time-consuming, meant I would assist with Liam, folding clothes in the meantime, stealing glances at her undergarments, driven solely by intrigue. Dawn and I began to watch over one another. On the nights she stayed late at work, I would collect Liam from daycare and take care of him. I became adept at his bedtime routine, weaving tales until he drifted off into slumber. Occasionally, a wave of sorrow washed over me as I recalled the baby I lost because of Rachel's betrayal, yet I swiftly pushed those thoughts aside. We shared keys to our trailers, and when the flu struck, Dawn discovered me confined to bed, tending to my needs with comforting chicken tinola and fresh linens that I in stark contrast to Rachel, whose support during my illness was minimal. Dawn proved to be remarkably attentive. As September gracefully transitioned into October, I found myself yearning for something deeper than mere friendship with Dawn. Yet my insecurities held me back. It was on a seemingly ordinary Saturday, when a rude cashier crossed my path, that I finally received the nudge I needed. Dawn stood in front of me in line, and as she presented her food stamps, the cashier whispered, "Another leech." I noticed Dawn's hand tremble slightly, her head bowing in embarrassment. Fueled by anger, I maneuvered around my cart, retrieved my platinum card, and handed it to the cashier, declaring, "She's no leech, she's my girlfriend. I'll take care of it." The cashier fell silent in an instant. I settled the bill for both Dawn's groceries and my own, and we made our exit. In hindsight, I recognized that I had resorted to money to address a situation that warranted a different approach. My deep emotions for Dawn eclipsed my social instincts. In the parking lot, I packed our groceries while Dawn brushed away her tears. "Thank you, Paul," she murmured softly. "You didn't need to go to such lengths." I feigned ignorance, asking, "Do all what?" "Covering the cost of my groceries and fabricating a story about me being your girlfriend." Her gentle Filipina accent made the word girlfriend resonate with warmth. After spending a few months living next to her, I found myself fond of nearly every aspect of her being. "Dawn, you are not worthy of such treatment. I am more than willing to look after you and Liam." I took a moment, my voice softening. "Moreover, it need not be a falsehood," she exclaimed, her eyes widening in astonishment. "What do you imply?" In that moment, beside the shopping carts, I acted on impulse. I embraced her tightly, a gesture that transcended mere friendship. "What I mean to convey is that the choice is yours if you wish to be my girlfriend. I would be delighted to take on the role of your boyfriend. I've laid my feelings bare." She softly withdrew, a look of surprise crossing her face. I felt no remorse. It signified my readiness to leave behind the torment of my ex-wife. I don't know," she faltered. "I find myself in need of contemplation, as this was entirely unforeseen." As Dawn settled into the front seat, I carefully fastened Liam into his child's seat before steering us homeward. Upon our return to the trailer, Dawn lifted Liam from his seat while I busied myself with unloading the groceries. Once I had placed hers in the kitchen, I began to unpack my own. As I was stowing away my Twinkies, a gentle tap at the door caught my attention. To my joy, it was Dawn standing there. "Come in," I said with a playful smirk. "If you were my girlfriend, you wouldn't need to knock." Dawn stepped inside and took a seat at my table, his expression uncharacteristically grave. I had asked Mrs. Thomas to keep an eye on Liam, allowing us a moment to converse in private. "Paul, Were you truly earnest about wanting me as your girlfriend? I grasped her hands. Dawn, I swear on my grandmother's grave, I'm completely sincere. I desire for us to be a couple. She shook her head, a flicker of confusion crossing her features. Why do you want me? She asked, her voice laced with disbelief. It makes no sense. You could have any woman. I find myself navigating life as a single mother, relying on food stamps to make ends meet. My physique is often compared to that of an ironing board, and I bear the marks of my struggles. Without the aid of a straw, I sometimes struggle to keep my composure. My left eyelid fails to close completely, and I don an eye patch at night. You ought to feel ashamed to be seen with me. I sighed in frustration, infuriated by the damage her ex had inflicted on her self-worth. Maria Dos Santos, while I respect your perspective, I must disagree. From the very first day we met, I found you to be beautiful, and as I've come to know you better, I've discovered your sweetness and kindness. I stepped around the table, gently pulled her to her feet, and held her shoulders firmly. And I find you incredibly alluring. You mentioned I could have any woman. Well, here's a revelation. I desire you. In that perfect moment, I leaned in and kissed her. Her distinctive smile transformed the kiss into something extraordinary, yet utterly delightful. As I held her close, I murmured, "You're flawless." She let out a sigh. "You're a man, Paul Mitchell, and men are often mistaken, but I want to have faith in you." Despite the sweeping generalization, she continued, "I'll be your girlfriend, but you must start attending Sunday Mass with me and Liam. It's important for you to be a good role model for my son." She kissed me once more, lingering and gentle. Despite my lack of faith, that kiss ignited a fire within me. "Agreed," I murmured, uncertain of my ability to be a role model, yet ready to make the effort for her. She broke into my reverie, declaring, "I need to prepare dinner for Liam. Tomorrow, please take me back to the store. I have a few items to gather for a special meal for my new boyfriend." She kissed me once more and said, "Please take things slow, Paul. I've been through so much, and I worry that your feelings might not endure. I'm not a big city girl looking to ensnare a man. If you desire my heart, exercise patience." She exited, and I watched her traverse the driveway, a joyful spring in her step. It filled me with hope, instilling a sense of worth within me. The following day, Maureen Meyer, a retired hairdresser, took care of Liam while Dawn and I ventured out for groceries. To sidestep yet another encounter with a dismissive cashier, I withdrew $200 from an ATM and offered it to her. She attempted to decline, but I pressed on, asserting, "I'm your boyfriend now. If I wish to indulge you, that is my choice." She cast her gaze downward and softly murmured, "Thank you, Paul." Upon our arrival at La Montanita Market, Dawn requested that I remain in the viand as the temperature in Gallup hovered in the mid-60s. I let the fresh air in by rolling down the windows and surrendered to a nap in the back seat. I was stirred from my slumber by the sound of side doors creaking open and the rustle of bags being loaded. Then, a gentle touch brought me back to consciousness. Dawn's lips pressed softly against mine. I drew her near and murmured, "I miss my girlfriend," my gaze lingering on the undone buttons of her blouse. "Hey," I teased, "were you attempting to stir jealousy in the supermarket?" Dawn giggled, "Are you truly jealous?" I pressed my lips to her neck, growling, "Of course you're my girlfriend. There's no way I'm letting anyone else have you." Dawn softly pulled back, reminding me about the perishables. Before settling into the front seat, she leaned in and kissed me once more, whispering that I was doing a great job as her boyfriend. Her words filled me with an overwhelming joy. Back at the trailer, she took Liam from Mrs. Thomas while I busied myself with unloading the groceries that as dawn broke. We found ourselves exiled to my trailer while she busied herself in the kitchen. We lost ourselves in a Disney movie and engaged in a spirited game of chutes and ladders. The mouth-watering aroma of roast pork and biscuits drifted through the open windows, enveloping us in a warm embrace as the aroma of dinner filled the air. Liam took his seat at the table with palpable anticipation. Dawn, with a gentle touch, served him first, placing a napkin delicately in his lap before planting a soft kiss on his cheek. She began to describe the meal, a machado, a cherished Philippine dish passed down from my mother. Beef chuck roast, adorned with luscious strips of pork fat, marinated to perfection, seared until golden, and then lovingly braised with ripe tomatoes. Accompanied by freshly made biscuits and a decadent chocolate rice pudding for dessert. Overwhelmed, I embraced her tightly. Darling, this must have required immense effort. What have I done to earn such kindness? She pressed her lips to my forehead and whispered, "You're my man now, looking after me and my son. As your girlfriend, I can indulge you as well." I drew her into my embrace and turned to Liam, asking, "Hey buddy, can I kiss your mom?" With his cheeks stuffed, he nodded eagerly. I pressed my lips to Dawn's gently, savoring the moment, wishing it could last forever. When it finally broke, I murmured, "Maria Dawn Santos, I am utterly falling in love with you." I came to understand that I possessed it all. A respectable job, a satisfying meal, a young man who admired me, and, above all, a woman whose loyalty was unwavering. A fleeting sense of regret washed over me at the thought of Rachel, but I brushed it aside. In response to my heartfelt admission, Dawn offered another gentle kiss before delicately wiping her lips with a napkin. "Make sure to eat your machado before it cools down," she gently admonished, as she filled my plate. The dinner and dessert were exquisite. Later, I tidied up while Dawn prepared Liam for his bedtime routines. I prepared to tackle the pots and pans. She reappeared, draping a dish towel around my neck before planting a kiss on my lips. With a playful smirk, she mentioned that Liam needed assistance with his goodnight prayers. I made my way to Liam's room, where he knelt with hands clasped. Poised for prayer, I joined him as he solemnly intoned, "God bless Mommy, Lola and Lolo in the Philippines, Mrs. Thomas for her care, and Mr. Paul for his companionship that brought joy back to Mommy. Amen." When it was my turn, I folded my hands and offered, "God bless my sister Emily and my mom. God bless Mrs. Thomas for her kindness as a neighbor. God bless Liam for being my new friend." In a moment of reflection, I struggled to find the right words for Dawn, finally adding, "God bless Dawn for teaching me that love could bloom anew. Amen." Liam wrapped his arms around me, prompting me to lift him up, snuggle him in, and plant a gentle kiss on his forehead. "Good night, little buddy," I whispered. "Good night, Mr. Paul," he replied. "Make sure Mommy gives me a good night kiss too." I nodded and made my way back to the kitchen. Dawn was busy with the dishes, and I couldn't resist lifting her up for a kiss. "Liam needs your goodnight kiss," I said, gently setting her back down as I embraced her. I murmured, "Don't stay away too long. You wouldn't want your boyfriend feeling lonely. Just go settle on the couch and keep your lap inviting. Your girlfriend will return shortly," she responded, gently slipping from my grasp and making her way to Liam's room. I reclined on the sofa and switched on the television. A few moments later, Dawn came to me, and we began to kiss passionately. The intensity grew, yet when I attempted to slip my hand beneath her blouse, she softly guided my hand back. "I'm sorry, Paul," she said. "I truly desire you, but it feels too early for that. Forgive me if I seem unworthy." As I embraced her, I quelled my desires and pressed a gentle kiss upon her crown. "I comprehend that I don't harbor any hatred towards you. When I expressed that I was falling in love with you, I spoke from the heart. I understand that you require time, and I assure you, I will wait with patience." She pressed her face against my chest, tears silently soaking my shirt. That shirt transformed into something sacred. I resolved never to wash it or wear it again. Eventually, Dawn ceased her tears and rose to her feet. As I approached the door and turned to express my gratitude for the meal, she drew me in for yet another kiss. Afterward, she opened the door, pressed her lips to my cheek, and whispered, "Thank you for being patient. I believe I'm also falling in love with you." Hearing those words filled me with joy. I expressed to her that, in fact, it brings me a great sense of relief. "Good night, my darling." She smiled and gently closed the door. The following morning, as I headed to work, my thoughts lingered on Dawn. My encounters with Rachel were nothing short of exhilarating, yet our bond remained superficial. We shared moments of joy, yet failed to cultivate a deeper connection. Perhaps relying on financial solutions rather than seeking therapeutic guidance allowed my brother James to charm her with ease. With Dawn, there was a mutual fondness and warmth between us. With Zex no longer an option, our attention turned to nurturing our bond. Within just a few months, I found myself genuinely devoted. My faith in Dawn's loyalty was unwavering, and I wished for her to share that sentiment. While I held on to a sense of optimism, I understood the importance of patience, a commitment I had made. We engaged in conversations about our individual preferences and the aspirations we held for the future. Gallup was a fleeting chapter for both of us, and we held on to the hope of uniting when the moment was ripe. I refrained from pressing Dawn about my profound aspiration of becoming a father, even though the desire pulsed within me after my brief encounter with Paul. At 37, I yearned to embrace fatherhood once more before the world cast me in the role of a grandfather. On a balmy Saturday afternoon in October, as I sat in solitude within my trailer, I caught snippets of conversation between Dawn and Mrs. Thomas. Dawn had just settled her payment for babysitting, and their exchange began with light banter until Mrs. Thomas pivoted to share her thoughts on Dawn's life. While Mrs. Thomas was an excellent caregiver for Liam, she also had a penchant for meddling and dispensing unsolicited advice. I heard her say, "Liam is such a sweet boy. He shouldn't grow up as an only child. He needs a sibling. Don't you agree?" Dawn replied, "A brother or sister would be nice, but I'm not in a position to." Mrs. Thomas laughed. "Not in a position? You have a man who is utterly infatuated with you. It's time to find your place, ideally beneath him. Yes, Paul is my boyfriend, but we haven't. Oh, I've noticed him striding back to his trailer with a peculiar gait, as if he's bearing a weighty secret in his briefs. Forget the security cameras." Mrs. Thomas was the true witness. She pressed on. "If I were 15 years younger, I would be completely captivated by that man. There are many women here vying for his attention, yet his gaze is solely fixed on you. At least for the time being." I could sense the fluster in Dawn. Mrs. Thomas's booming voice resonated unmistakably. "Dawn, you reign supreme in Paul Mitchell's affections. However, to retain his affection, it is essential to invite him to share your bed soon. The bond he shares with your son is truly heartwarming. Just picture the joy he would experience if you were to bless him with a child." Mrs. Thomas was indeed correct. The thought of Dawn becoming pregnant fills me with joy. I truly wished that Dawn would embrace her counsel. That night, I found myself restless, unable to find solace in sleep even after downing 3 more beers. My mind was consumed with visions of a pregnant Dawn. The vow to be patient weighed on me more than ever before. The night hung heavy with heat and humidity, the promise of rain lingering in the air. A sound broke the stillness, a key turning in the lock. Only Dawn possessed a key to my door. I feigned slumber to observe her actions. She slipped off her shoes and quietly entered my bedroom, pressing her lips softly against mine. I lifted my hands toward her, but she gently brushed them aside and inquired, "Do you truly love me?" What? I could have offered an elaborate response, yet I chose to keep it straightforward. "Certainly I do. If that holds true, then follow my every command without question." This turn of events took me by surprise. My usually gentle and passive girlfriend was now issuing commands. What influence had Mrs. Thomas's conversation exerted? I found myself nodding in agreement. The streetlights cast a gentle glow, illuminating Dawn in her worn bathrobe, her hair casually gathered in a loose bun. With a swift motion, she retrieved a sleep mask from her pocket and blindfolded me. The atmosphere was thick with intrigue. What of your former spouse? What if she seeks to mend the rift? I shook my head, a surge of anger coursing through me. No, she means nothing to me after her betrayal. She pressed on, "What of the women in the trailer park? Mrs. Thomas mentioned that many desire to share your bed. They possess a beauty and eagerness that captivates. No more waiting would be necessary." In an effort to gather my thoughts, I declared, "Dawn, I desire no one but you. I am completely yours." You revealed to me the possibility of love once more. In an instant, she pressed her lips against mine. "I understand that the wait has been challenging for you, just as it has been for me. However, I am still navigating the aftermath of my past relationship. With a sense of dread, I replied, Dawn, you understand I would never impose anything on you, correct? Your warmth and kindness have been evident. Even Liam has seen it. Yet, I find myself unprepared for that step just now. Your patience has been remarkable. After Mrs. Thomas shared her insights about other women, I felt compelled to offer you some respite. You certainly received it. If you would be so kind as to release me, I would be eager to reciprocate. Regrettably, I find myself unprepared for that just yet. My heart plummeted at the thought, but then she continued, I have an alternative suggestion. That I was fully attentive. What do you envision? You simply reclined and absorbed the moment. All right, I consented, curious about her intentions. She recounted her past, and I absorbed every word. As I removed the sleep mask, I noticed her fastening her robe. I need to return to my trailer. Liam will awaken shortly. Grasping her robe, she leaned down and pressed her lips to mine. I love you, Paul. We shall reunite shortly.
Assure you.
Following our early morning encounter, my affection for Dawn deepened even further. Within the confines of our home, I seized every opportunity to tenderly touch her. Liam and I even turned it into a playful ritual. Whenever I kissed Dawn, I would pose the question to Liam, what day is it? If he declared it was double kiss day, I would lean in for another kiss. He relished the power of choosing how many kisses his mother received. During our outings, a sense of protectiveness enveloped me, as if the depth of our bond was deepening. I took $2,500 from my savings and purchased her a 2014 Toyota Corolla, ensuring she wouldn't have to rely on the bus for her commute to work. The outside was weathered, yet I had it inspected to confirm its safety. Dawn laughed and cried, then led me to her trailer where we shared innocent kisses like children. On our inaugural outing, I brought Dawn to the optometrist. He provided her with medicated eye drops to alleviate her dryness, and we placed an order for new glasses. A few weeks later, she donned new Dolce & Gabbana frames, completely transforming her appearance into that of a sultry, mischievous librarian. I couldn't help but tease her, playfully requesting that she shush me and impose overdue fines. Work was progressing splendidly. I transitioned to full-time status with benefits, received a raise, and shortly thereafter, I was elevated to the role of shipping supervisor. With a sense of optimism, I resolved to purchase an engagement ring and propose during the company holiday party in December. Despite the fact that my divorce wouldn't be finalized until March, I believed that a diamond ring would provide Dawn with the comfort she needed regarding our future. As Thanksgiving approached, I invited her to be my date for the holiday party. She paused, uncertain, worried that her attire might not meet expectations. Mrs. Thomas proposed her sister, Betty Ward, a retired seamstress of considerable skill. Betty took Dawn's measurements and, after 2 weeks, returned with a stunning party dress. They managed to keep it a delightful surprise for me. On the evening of the gathering, I ventured next door to collect Dawn. Mrs. Thomas was present, keeping an eye on Liam. When I casually remarked that the festivities would conclude by midnight, she chuckled and replied, if you return her home before dawn, there's something quite amiss with you. Then I caught the gentle lilt of Dawn's voice. I'm ready, Paul. I turned, and my jaw fell open in disbelief. Dawn donned a striking red knee-length dress, featuring a low back and a single shoulder sleeve that tastefully concealed her cleavage while leaving the other shoulder exposed. The garment clung to her curves, challenging her assertion of possessing an ironing board figure. I found myself silently grateful that she was by my side, that I donned a charcoal-colored wool suit from my days as a vice president. Yet I felt like a mere stone beside my captivating date. Mrs. Thomas had elegantly arranged Dawn's long, dark hair into a braided side bun. Her red shoes, sensible flats, perfectly complemented the dress, a stark contrast to Rachel's perilous 4-inch heels. Dawn stood out as the most stunning woman at the party. As we entered the hotel ballroom, I noticed several younger men casting glances at my date. I instinctively wrapped a possessive arm around her and teased, 20 feet in and they're already eyeing you? Should I be concerned? She kissed my hand gently and replied, Paul, I'm not Rachel. Rest assured, I'm all set. We secured our seats, and I've arranged for some champagne. The DJ has just signaled the moment to hit the dance floor, beginning with a gentle tune as the soft notes of the next slow song enveloped us. Dawn and I swayed together, lost in the moment. When the tempo picked up, we gracefully made our way back to our seats. A younger executive approached, extending an invitation to dance with Dawn, but she declined with a courteous smile. Another executive from sales approached her, and I urged her to accept a dance. I observed as he pulled her in, maintaining my composure, prepared to intervene if the situation called for it. Before long, he leaned in and murmured something in her ear. Dawn withdrew and made her way back to our table, her distress evident. That man had the audacity to invite me to his room later, despite not knowing me at all. My feelings shifted from jealousy to genuine concern. "Are you all right?" Yes, I told him that the only man I was interested in sharing a bed with was the one who brought me, and then I walked away. As I processed her words, I asked, "Dawn, are you saying?" Before I could finish, she slipped into my lap and kissed me passionately. "Yes," she whispered, "your love and patience have enveloped me in a cocoon of security. Fear has dissipated, Paul. Let us find a room and ascend together." The second chapter of my life unfolded within the walls of room 538 at the storied El Rancho Hotel along Route 66. Upon entering, I reached for a petite bottle of champagne nestled in the minibar. A splurge, yet undeniably worthwhile, that I filled 2 glasses and led her to the balcony. The sun had dipped below the horizon, leaving the city aglow with twinkling lights. As I embraced her from behind, I found myself pondering the path that had brought me here. Months ago, I found myself shattered by the betrayal of my wife and brother, watching as half my fortune slipped away. Yet, I have since rebuilt my life, securing a decent job and meeting a woman who has rekindled my confidence. Now I stand poised for the next chapter as the air turned crisp. I draped a shawl around her shoulders, then knelt down and retrieved the ring box. She was lost in her thoughts, oblivious to my presence until I playfully tickled her. With a burst of laughter, she turned to me, asking, "Paul, what are you doing?" But her words faltered as she caught sight of me on one knee. She erupted in tears, joyful ones, I wished. "Maria Don Santos," I started. "You transformed my existence that as you crafted Machado for me." A realization dawned. "I wanted to be with you for all eternity. Will you marry me?" With tears glistening in her eyes, she nodded in affirmation and extended her hand. I gently placed the ring upon her finger, lifted her into my arms, and carried her to the bed. We devoted the night and early morning to the delicate dance of creation, until fatigue enveloped us. My newly engaged partner was resolute in fulfilling my desires. After rising for breakfast, we sought a late checkout for yet another attempt. This time, she donned her glasses, playfully penalizing me each time I let out a groan. Arriving home at noon in our party attire certainly raised eyebrows at Western Sky's mobile home park. Dawn's virtuous reputation likely led others to believe I had led her astray, yet their frowns transformed into smiles when she proudly displayed her engagement ring to Mrs. Thomas beamed with joy, and Liam was over the moon at the thought of me marrying his mother and stepping into the role of his new father. With the ring now adorning Dawn's finger, the veil of secrecy surrounding our relationship was lifted. On nights when Liam was nestled in the trailer at bedtime, we would exercise restraint, sharing only gentle kisses and tender caresses once he was tucked in. If those kisses and caresses blossomed into something deeper, it was merely an unexpected delight. Dawn caught me off guard. 5 Sundays later, at St. Francis Church, Father Thomas delivered a sermon on Genesis 1 verse 28, focusing on the themes of fruitfulness and multiplication. During the monthly blessing for expectant mothers, Dawn rose to join the others. I had to muster all my self-control to refrain from leaping up and expressing my joy aloud. She had yet to reveal her secret, leaving Liam in a state of bewilderment. My hands trembled as I conveyed the news that he was soon to be a big brother. Once the blessing was bestowed, she returned, and I enveloped her in a warm embrace. With all my heart, I professed my love. In just a few weeks, I would be liberated from Rachel's grasp, ready to embrace a new life with my beloved wife, the mother of my children. It was late February, merely 3 weeks before my divorce from Rachel would be complete, and the anticipation of marrying Dawn filled me with excitement. My fiancée was around 12 weeks pregnant. Despite her petite frame, her baby bump was already visible, and each night, I took the time to sing to it and kiss it. It brought me immense joy to realize that this baby was genuinely mine. Though it was merely the size of a tennis ball, my devotion to it knew no bounds. There was no chance my brother could wrest this child away from me. Just as I believed all was unfolding seamlessly, my cell phone chimed one Saturday during our grocery shopping excursion. The caller ID revealed my younger sister, Emily, was on the line. This was a rarity. Residing in San Diego, we hadn't crossed paths since that Christmas at our mother's house, just before my marriage unraveled. I had not received any word from her when I initiated the divorce, a development I had anticipated. Given Emily's close bond with my brother during their childhood, I assumed she would stand by him. This call signaled that something was amiss with my mother, or perhaps my brother was in need of financial assistance or even a kidney donor. If the conversation revolved around Mom, we could engage in a meaningful dialogue. However, if it pertained to James, I would promptly terminate the call. I picked up the phone. "What's up, Emily? Is Mom okay?" I inquired. "Yes, she's fine," Emily responded. "Thank you for your call." I mentioned that I was ready to end the conversation. "Paul, please hold on, don't disconnect just yet," Emily said urgently. "Sis, you know I have zero interest in our brother. Unless you're calling to tell me he's dead, we're done talking," I responded coldly. "Scott isn't in the US. He longs for his wife and children, so he's traveled to India to plead with Priya for forgiveness," Emily explained. I chuckled at the notion of my brother feeling remorse for anything. I couldn't care less if that treacherous scoundrel met his end, should he find himself in India. I wish for him to encounter a cobra's bite. "Farewell, Emily." I concluded the conversation. Dawn returned from the produce section, her expression shifting as she noticed my distress. I began to recount the conversation with my sister when, unexpectedly, my phone rang once more. It was Emily yet again. I responded. "I told you, sister, that James means nothing to me. Why are you reaching out?" I insisted. "Paul, I kindly ask that you allow me to finish. My call isn't regarding James. It's about Paul Jr., as Emily mentioned." When she uttered that name, my heart froze. "His name is Paul. He is not my son. My name is no longer on the birth certificate," I stated, my voice icy and unyielding. "James says," Emily started. "Would you like to screw off now, or piss me off more?" I cut in, my anger palpable. "Paul, please hear me out. James has caused you immense pain, and I can't justify that. However, our nephew is blameless in all of this. He requires our assistance," Emily asserted. I exclaimed, "Oh, come on, Emily. That boy is no kin of mine. He's as good as gone to me, just like his parents. My words about Paul being a hellspawn were not meant to carry weight. He was merely an innocent child. The mere mention of his name brought forth the anguish of his loss, and in that moment, I sought to direct my hurt towards Rachel. At this point, my voice had risen to a volume that even the man on the loading dock could catch a glimpse of my frustration. I powered down my phone, rounded up Dawn, Liam, and our groceries, and made my exit. The lingering negativity from the call cast a shadow over the evening, souring the mood for my two favorite companions. This deepened my sorrow. As Liam offered his goodnight prayers, he included blessings for his mom, his grandparents in the Philippines, and Mrs. Thomas. Yet, when he reached me, he said, "God bless my new daddy, and please don't let him forget he loves me." I fell apart. I gathered Liam into my arms, settled onto the bed, embraced him tightly, pressed a kiss to his forehead, wept openly, and expressed the depth of my love for him. Dawn entered softly, carefully took him from my grasp, tucked him in snugly, and guided me out of his room. She re-entered and reassured him that my sadness was profound, yet my love for him would remain unwavering. Upon her return, she guided me to our bedroom. Throughout the months spent in Gallup, I had endeavored to maintain my strength, carefully concealing my emotions regarding the betrayals and the impending divorce. My sister's call had ripped open those old wounds. Emotionally shattered, I remained motionless as my fiancé unbuttoned my shirt, slid off my jeans, and gently laid me face down on the bed. I then felt her hands soothingly rubbing my back, soon followed by her lips trailing soft kisses from the nape of my neck down to my lower back. "You're going to be fine," she whispered, her gentle Filipina accent rendering it as together. In that moment, I came to understand several crucial truths. First and foremost, I was not alone. I was blessed with a loving woman and a delightful little boy, whom I would soon welcome into my life through adoption. Furthermore, my soon-to-be ex and my sister no longer held any sway over me. And lastly, I found great joy in the sound of Dawn's accent that it was undeniably intoxicating. As I rolled onto my back, I reached for her, drawing her closer. She wore that same unassuming light blue dress and rubber sandals from our first encounter, yet she radiated an undeniable allure in it. I embraced her tenderly, my fingers tracing the curve of her belly. Thoughts of my mother drifted into my mind, now enjoying her retirement in the home I provided in Fresno. I imagined her feeling a sense of melancholy, especially with my brother and his family so far away in India. She had lost the precious connection to her granddaughters, whom she cherished deeply. Considering her long-standing disdain for Rachel, I questioned whether she would take an interest in little Paul. Perhaps the news of her 2 new grandchildren would bring her some joy. As I kissed my fiancé, I posed the question, "How would you feel about meeting my mother?" The following day, I reached out to Mom, expressing my desire for her to meet Dawn and Liam. To my surprise, her response lacked the enthusiasm I had hoped for. However, she did mention it would be lovely to see me and have a little boy in the house once more. Both Dawn and I received approval from our jobs for a week's vacation. Given that the journey from Gallup to Fresno spanned a lengthy 12 hours by car, we chose to take to the skies instead. The weather was refreshingly cool, prompting both of us to don our hooded sweatshirts. Dawn's hoodie cleverly concealed her pregnant belly, ensuring that Mom would be delightfully surprised when Dawn finally revealed it as the car service pulled away. The house stood before us, transformed and more inviting than the day I had purchased it for her. My mother had taken the time to enhance the landscaping out front, adding a touch of beauty. She welcomed us at the door with warm embraces for Liam and me, while extending a polite handshake to Dawn, accompanied by a cordial, "It's nice to meet you." And that was the extent of it. Considering this was to be her future daughter-in-law, an unsettling chill crept into my stomach. We made our way to the kitchen and settled at the modest table. Mom presented Liam with a glass of orange juice and a peanut butter sandwich, which he accepted with delight, while Dawn and I merely requested coffee. It was only after ensuring that everyone had been properly served that she took a seat to engage in conversation. The uneasy sensation in my stomach solidified into an iceberg as Mom began to speak. "Paul, your divorce remains unresolved. Dawn appears lovely, and Liam is a charming young lad, but doesn't it feel a bit premature to consider engagement once more? It's been less than a year since Rachel faltered. Mother certainly had her hand in this. With Liam seated before me, raising my voice was not an option. In a hushed tone, I murmured, "Mother, I believe Alzheimer's is clouding your memory." My ex-wife did not err. She intentionally became pregnant by engaging in a relationship with my brother. And no, it's not premature. In just a few weeks, my divorce will be finalized, and I will embark on a new chapter with a woman who truly loves me. Mom leaned in, gently patting Dawn's hand. While I have no doubt that Dawn is loving and kind, it's important to remember that life was good before Rachel's unfortunate choice. I just believe it's wise not to rush into anything too quickly. Ultimately, the possibility of reconciliation remains within reach. That final word struck me with the force of a Mack truck. Suddenly, clarity washed over me. Something felt amiss. If my own mother, who held a deep disdain for my ex-wife, was now encouraging me to reconcile with the unfaithful woman, then the sound of a car arriving outside pierced through my thoughts. I understood then that I had walked into a trap. Indeed, I heard the front door creak open, followed by the sound of 2 pairs of footsteps entering. My mother called out to Liam, "Come on, sweetie. The adults will be engaged in conversation, and you might find it dull. Shall we embark on a quest to discover some delightful cartoons to enjoy together?" Meanwhile, Mom and Liam have retreated to another room, and two women have just entered. Point one was my sister Emily, cradling little Paul, and the other was a woman I hoped never to encounter again. Rachel. She offered me a gentle greeting. Greetings, Paul. You appear quite well. I cast her a discerning look. In spite of the myriad beauty treatments and Botox injections, her 33-year-old visage appeared haggard and weary. It seems that the challenge of raising an 11-month-old infant solo can take its toll. Such a pity. Thank you. You appear quite unwell. I lost my composure. After that, I requested Dawn to step outside and summon a cab for us. The moment had come to depart. It had not been a simple journey. Rachel commenced. Just as I was about to launch into a diatribe about the unfortunate complexity of it all, my sister passed the baby to Rachel and slid a hefty brown envelope across the table toward me. I made no move to open it. I inquired, "What on earth is this, Emily?" My sister clarified, "It's a California Judicial Council Form CIV 110, the formal request to dismiss your divorce. Rachel wishes to reconcile before the divorce is finalized. But since you initiated the process, you must sign the request to dismiss the case. Once you complete and sign it, I can file it in court on your behalf." This whirlwind of events was unfolding at an alarming pace. First, my mother, and now my sister, were imploring me to reconsider the divorce. I raised my hand to signal a pause. "Hold on a second. Something feels off. Whom do you represent?" "Emily? As little Paul is my nephew, I am here on Rachel's behalf." How is it that my own sister and mother are aligning themselves with the ex-wife who shattered my existence? My voice rose in frustration. Mom intervened, taking the baby from my soon-to-be ex. Rachel interjected, her tone urgent, "Paul, please reconsider. Once you loved me and Paul Jr. We can reunite as a family. The house feels so hollow in your absence." Her attempt to soften my resolve by calling him Junior was misguided. It merely served as a stark reminder that the child was a product of James, not of my own making, and she sought to conceal that truth. With a raised voice, I retorted sharply, "Sis, first of all, take these papers and shove them where the sun doesn't shine. And you, deceitful harlot, claiming the house feels empty? How ironic, isn't it? When I was there, all that space was filled with you and my brother entangled in your escapades. I found myself obstructing their path, casting a sharp glare at the trio of women before me. Truly, you are all utterly delusional. Rachel, in what realm of imagination did you believe I could ever absolve you for what you inflicted upon me?" Just then, a sound caught my attention, and I turned to my left. Dawn stood at the threshold of the kitchen, her eyes brimming with trepidation. She was in need of me. I inhaled deeply, seeking tranquility to temper my rising anger. The last thing I desired was to find myself ensnared in a baseless domestic violence accusation. After all, Emily was a lawyer, and given her actions today, I wouldn't be surprised if she resorted to a cunning maneuver like that. In the wake of my words, Rachel unraveled completely. Tears streamed down her face as she sank to her knees, clutching my legs, her voice a frantic rush of desperation. "Paul, please listen to me." I found myself in a tangled web of emotions. James was never the one. He was merely a fleeting distraction. I shattered everything, and my heart aches with regret. My love for you remains unwavering, and I long for you to remain my husband. I cast my gaze downward, my expression unyielding. She paused, inhaling deeply. Then the negotiations commenced. "If you halt the divorce, all will be restored, and wealth will be yours once more. The house, the cars, the bank accounts, the credit cards, I'll transfer it all to you. I'll even sign a postnuptial agreement, share all my email and social media passwords. We can attend couples therapy, whatever it takes. It's astonishing. If I remained married to Rachel, I could reclaim my wealth, retrieve nearly everything she had taken from me. Gone are the days of the trailer park, the Volkswagen van, and the shipping supervisor position. Yet, this also signifies the end of homemade Filipino dishes, Saturdays spent at the La Mananita Market, Sunday Mass, and the companionship of Dawn and Liam, along with the loss of self-respect. No way. Completely at ease, I replied with deliberation. Rachel, I must commend you. This is truly a fascinating proposal. It's rather amusing when you ponder it. You see, had you extended this offer prior to my departure for New Mexico, I might have genuinely considered it. Oh, but then again, I couldn't. You and James were still entangled, weren't you? Poor timing, I suppose. I shook my head and inhaled deeply to steady myself. It was time to escort Rachel to school. Allow me to clarify the situation for you. You engaged in an affair with my treacherous brother while I was unaware, and then attempted to conceal your actions. Now, you seek to rekindle our relationship? Let me be unequivocal. Unless you can return every single dollar you took from me, put that baby back where it came from, and fix my brother James, there is no way forward. As far as I'm concerned, both of you are no longer part of my world on that fateful night. As he crossed the line, Emily's voice trembled with urgency. Paul, please wait, she implored. Little Paul is innocent. You can't simply abandon him. I glanced at my sister, determination in my voice. Oh, I can and I will. That applies to you too. Emily. I held you in high regard and placed my trust in you. But you chose to align yourself with the one who shattered my existence. This is the end. At last, I sought solace in my mother. Mom, you single-handedly raised 3 of us. I purchased this house for you because, quite frankly, you deserve it. However, what on earth inspired you to attempt this scheme to keep Rachel and me together? You certainly weren't singing that tune when I married her. On the contrary. You despised her, didn't you? Mom's gaze was fixed on the ground, tears streaming down her face as she cradled the baby. Please, Polly's my grandson. He is innocent. My actions were not for Rachel. They were for him. He yearns for a father figure. A wave of nausea surged in my throat, and soon my eyes began to well with tears. Allow me to remind you, dear mother, that the child has a father. It simply isn't me any longer. Furthermore, it will never be me again. I genuinely feel a sense of pity for you, Mom. James has betrayed you just as he has betrayed me. You now have 3 grandchildren from 2 different mothers, all thanks to my worthless brother. However, considering that his wife has taken their children abroad, I highly doubt you will ever lay eyes on 2 of them again. This leaves you with Rachel, who has never exactly been a model of integrity. And until you sever ties with my little brother, you will not see my children again.